we know it was the cheeks and the knees, though. It doesn't make a difference how slight it is, okay? This person is a Gemini rising, y'all.
That's what my first reading was. My first reading a long time ago in Atlanta had me as a Gemini rising, and ever since I started looking at my charts on free astro, it always said Taurus, but my first reading said Gemini.
So we know that she's a Gemini rising, and that she has the North Node in Sagittarius. So let's do her North Node, and that's the purpose of what today's lessons is.
Okay, that's a pretty good idea. So, is everybody else still on board? Because when I got pardon me, hold on a second.
You're the only one that got on board, unless Will's not with us no more. Will, you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
You know what's deep is I tried to call. Didn't I say that Saturn was rising? Didn't I say Saturn is perfectly conjunct this and we had a problem? Where I am, Saturn was perfectly conjunct the ascendant. Nobody else had a perfect Saturn.
I was wondering where you're going at, but you're reading Abundance Child chart. You're familiar with Abundance Child, you know.
Well, for telling me, man, I didn't need to know who I was reading because I don't particularly want ever to know who I'm reading. Okay, now that I know who I'm reading, I have an experience where it's going to twist the reading slightly. You know, even though we're not that we're not very familiar. So at any rate, let me go in. I'll wait to go last. Y'all can go. Y'all can be first if you want.
Actually, I'm gonna pass and let Will and let Marcus read her North Node because I'm familiar with Abundance, so I'll go ahead and let them pass. I'll pass and go. And besides, I already said what I had to say about the North Node and Sagittarius anyway, about people who have the North Node and Sagittarius are going out and experiencing what they learned in books. And that's pretty much what I said. So, but I'll let them go ahead and bang it out.
Will, if you're not ready, then I can start this process unless you're ready.
Well, I'm working on the North Node, the principle of what it is. So all I just know that if Venus rectified, Gemini rising, putting the South Node in the first house, and the North Node in the seventh house. Okay, so that's interesting. Now I'm going to put a little twist on it. I'm going to use Rahu and K2, the Indian Vedic, and being that's the Vedic or Indian system of the using a North Node, South Node. Now K2 in the first house, we are using that, gives a person a very spiritual quest, different from Rahu in the second. That's going to give you, person is going to be attracted to partners that can be very, very unusual, powerful, and very steadfast in what they want to do. That's a Rahu in the seventh house. It also brings about unusual talents for the person with K2 in the first house that you have. Now, K2 deals with many things on things of languages, deals with particular skills on spirituality. Now, it's not what we call the materialistic aspect of the nodes or the Rahu and Ketu. This is a person that needs to do with less than more. You may be attracted to partners that draw more on the materialistic thing. They tend to get that kind of energy because Rahu is that more dominant than Ketu, but the point of isolation, of studying, being to most of the point where they have to step aside out of the square or the box, whatever you have, and do a point of reflection, and that can be meditation. With that, extending, supplementing with Western astrology, being that in Gemini, I use that as the Gemini Sagittarius, the educational axis, and that's all about what education, what they get, and how they utilize it is very indicative of how far they advance. Coming with a North Node in Sagittarius, I use a little twist too. I use Sagittarius' expansiveness, but I use it as the centaur, the symbol of the archer, and I reflect from the novel called the Zen in Archery, which the mentors or the masters at the time teach the student that you're not taking the archer, taking the bow and the arrow. You actually become the bow and you become the arrow, and you actually focus yourself as the arrow pointing to the direction you have. So that the Sagittarius of one-pointedness, focusing more than less of what the scatteredness or what things of Gemini can be on diversified too as well. And they study so many things. It's just like the Mercurian mind changes as well as like the moon. It looks like for a sense of where religion, and I don't mean traditional religion, but in point of concept of spirituality and where that may frame in your particular paradigm. That's where the North Node Sagittarius particular comes at, and how we use that on a bigger level, of course, but it's a thing where you have to personalize, because fire signs are very personal signs, the Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, and they get their self-energy from that particular point, so it's about where you directed at. Now, that could be also with Sagittarius on the 7th house cusp. That's a broadness for partners. That's a very much opportunity, because Jupiter, wherever that is in your chart, will give you another access of understanding where your lessons are learned, your spirituality connected with that too. And I'll leave it on that note.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna attack this thing.
Well, listen, hold on. Pardon me. Let me interrupt for a second, because I don't have much time. So let me go ahead and I'm gonna give it right to you, Marco. Okay.
Go ahead.
Basically, the North Node in Sagittarius, Abundance Child. Abundance, how you doing? How you doing, Abundance Child?
I'm just right. Thank you.
That's what's up. Listen, the North Node in Sagittarius lets you know that you have a destiny to achieve here in this lifetime, that you were actually put here to achieve a destiny where you seek out and experience your personal philosophy or your personal religious or higher spiritual aspect of yourself. And to chase after that dream and to experience it, you have an insatiable predilection to go after things that are dealing with higher education, philosophy, spirituality, and as well as a sense of justice, okay? So a lot of things that you learn, because you have the natural capacity to teach yourself, since it's in the 1st house, and in Gemini, your South Node, your natural capacity to teach yourself through what you have read. You okay? Now it's time for you to go out and to experience what you've read and to actually do that and actually facilitate that in life. And you'll notice that you achieve a certain sense of fortune and happiness when you do this with a partner. So a lot of your partners that you've dealt with, or the ones you've been most happiest with, the ones you've traveled with to different countries or different states, you know what I'm saying, traveled with and done things that are very Sagittarius as far as dealing with your philosophical the philosophical bent or the spiritual bent that you've been on in your past in life and things like that. And so another portion of that is to keep learning and teaching self as a foundation to that. But at the same time, you must continue to go out and experience everything that you learn from your childhood, everything you learned from your relatives and your siblings, and everything you've taught yourself, and go out there and to achieve that through the North Node in Sagittarius, to go out there and to bring you to your higher sense of spirituality, a higher sense of mental expansion. You understand? See, that's going to bring you fortune, and I would surmise that it has brought you fortune in your life when you've gone out and you've experienced the things that were self-taught, or the things that was taught by your family and your relatives, and you went out there and facilitated them, and put action into those things, and actually went to achieve those things. You understand? And with the North Node being in Sagittarius as well, is you also have to remember to balance yourself, so that you don't, to balance yourself through, your internal thinking, how you see yourself, and without having to overindulge and overdoing it. Okay?
Thank you.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace. I would like to go in on this time of birth, the date of birth, and everything like that. I agree with what Reese is saying. I would just like to add a couple of things here. I would like to say that you naturally had benefits. You naturally are fortunate in regards to your life circumstances, period. In regards to your beliefs or feelings and perceptions and things of this nature, when you feel something, you need to go with it. I'm going to tell you that when you go against your gut feeling, which is emotions, and the reason why I say this, because you've been studying astrology, is because you have the Sun and Jupiter conjunct in the sign of Pisces. And the sign of Pisces has everything to do with perception, has everything to do with vision, has a lot to do with travel and exploring and broadening your horizons and things of this nature. As a Gemini rising, I recognize that you have a fear or a nervousness about yourself that inhibits you to propel yourself in certain areas of life. And I want to explain and include the North Node into this mathematical equation, because it's your relationships that you're constantly trying to find. You're constantly trying to find. But what I found astrologically is that the angles, which are 1, 4, 7, and 10,